Last week, the White House revived one of its older and more farcical ideas: putting together a panel to see if climate change is really a threat, even though the Defense Department has already said that it is. The panel is set to be led by William Happer, a professor emeritus at Princeton who has previously compared the war on carbon emissions to, wait for it,
the demonization of carbon dioxide is just like the demonization of the poor Jews under Hitler. Carbon dioxide is actually a benefit to the world, and so were the Jews.
The White House memo announcing the panel was shared with a number of government officials, including President Trump's very first and newly appointed science advisor.
What this is. There he is, right there.
Kelvin Droegemeier is a meteorologist and, by all accounts, a thorough, well-respected scientist who, even as a student, displayed a love of tornado research, as captured in this documentary TV show.
Do you copy, John?
So I'm sorry. Can you tell me about these socks?
So these were given to me by a friend, and they're little clouds with lightning bolts in them. So whenever I have to confront a clear sky outside and I miss thunderstorms and weather, I put these on and it makes me happy.
Back when Droegemeier was nominated for the role of science advisor, we spoke with a number of scientists who all said the same thing.
He provided good leadership.
He's an excellent scientist.
He's extremely well thought of in the scientific community. He's not afraid to dig in and do the work. He will bring the science communities back into the White House.
But despite his bona fides, no one was really able to tell us where he stands on human-induced climate change. Even though Droegemeier walks the tightrope alongside a president who's hell-bent on making a spectacle of climate denial, his views on climate change are important because the White House science advisor has the power to bring agencies together and get them to work toward a goal that could turn out to be the enabling of climate denial. As the director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy, you advise the president on science.
Correct. So my role is basically to gather the best scientific information available, explain it to policymakers. It's basically gathering the information, bringing it to the table, and helping other folks understand it.
I feel the need to ask you this. When there's a large winter storm, the president tends to tweet about it. He suggests that these storms are an example of climate change not being real. What's your reaction to that? And do you think you're going to talk to him about those tweets?
The main thing for me is to provide the president with, as I said earlier, the best science advice possible.
And do you have an opinion on those tweets?
No, I don't. I mean, I really focus on providing him with everything that he needs, and that's my role.
Do you think that humans play a role in climate change, which you have acknowledged is happening?
Oh, yes, there's no question.
And a major role?
They play a very significant role, I would say, yes.
You seem to create a distinction between saying humans are the cause of it, as opposed to saying that they do contribute to it.
Well, if you say humans are the cause of climate change, that's incorrect, because climate change is due to humans and natural variability.
The majority, nearly all scientists say that humans are the major leading cause of climate change.
As I say, I think humans play a significant role, absolutely. I use that word because, I'm not a climate scientist, and I read the reports, and so.
There's this phenomenon in politics where politicians will say, I'm not a scientist, but. And I'm just wondering, do you think that politicians should, because they're not scientists, should defer to scientists?
I don't think it's appropriate for a politician to simply defer to a scientist completely, because a scientist
How about a body of scientists
is not a policymaker,
who all have
right?
the same opinion?
Well, here again, I think you have to look at the scientific evidence and you have to translate the science into the policy world.
The White House is setting up a panel on climate change to assess whether climate change is a national security threat, something that the DoD has already determined. Who do you think is qualified to assess climate risk?
Well, I would say for that particular thing you referred to that I think was in the press recently, that's not something OSTP initiated.
William Happer, the man who will be leading that panel, has said that carbon emissions are beneficial to the planet. Do you agree with that?
Well, obviously plants, in their respiratory processes take up carbon, so I mean.
Right, but we don't typically refer to those as carbon emissions.
Correct, yeah. So, I would let you talk to Will about that.
Yeah, but I want to know if you agree.
If I agree with?
With his opinion, which is that carbon emissions are beneficial to the planet.
I don't really have any view on Will's opinions. I mean, my goal is to gather all the best science evidence I can and present it to the president.